Whoa. It's the Yewllusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. All right. We're here. Well, I thought I would, it's been a busy weekend, right? Busy weekend. Yeah, it kind of breaks my heart to see what's going on up in Portland, Oregon. I have to say. I would say of all the things going on, that's like kind of a bummer. There's been some sort of de-evolution going on up in Portland, and I love Portland. I love Portland, Oregon. I loved living there. I loved being part of that city. I lived in Portland for 5 years. And when I lived in Portland, Oregon, I was a pretty heavy-duty activist. I mean, yeah, it was all on the tree hugger front, but we were taking on the system, so to speak. And I just don't I just don't get violence. I don't see how violence does anything to promote or solve an issue. And it's interesting because it's pretty interesting. If you watch that footage of what went on up in Portland this last weekend with the gay Vietnamese immigrant journalist, and you superimpose that footage over some of the stuff that was going on in Germany in the 30s, it's pretty identical. It's super horrifying. And as just on a human level, whether you're pro whatever you are, just on a human level, that in itself there should never be one human being brutalized by another group. Hey, mano y mano, woman versus woman, however the fighting needs to go down. I'm not anti fisticuffs, but when a group of people clad in masks inflict violence on a sole individual, that's wrong, man. I don't care what your justification is, and I guess that goes to the whole thing. It's the de-evolution. It's cowardice, man. I'm one of those, man. Take off your mask. Gut up. If you want to go be part of some sort of revolution, put your face on it, man. I mean, that was one of the big things that I moved away from as an activist when I was up there in the 90s was masks and fatigues and that kind of stuff. I would show up in a well-dressed because the people you're trying to communicate are all the people that are at work. I can't imagine see how, I mean, Portland's always been pretty frisky with that kind of stuff, but I can't imagine the people of Portland condoning violence. It's not a very savory flavor. It bums me out, man, because violence just begets violence. It's so weird, this whole non-communication thing. Like, we're gonna go put our black masks on, we're gonna make a bunch of trouble, but we're not gonna try to communicate to anyone. We're just gonna cause violence, inflict violence in the name of peace. It's very bizarre. And all I see is imagery from the 30s. That's all I see. Yeah, they were wearing brown shirts back in the day. Now they're wearing black outfits. Like, I don't really think the fascist fighters get that they have become the fascists. That that they have become the monster they seek to slay. It's very sad. And ultimately, it's going to end badly. Unfortunately, I hope that Portland's better than that. I guess why I'm so disappointed is when I lived in Portland, we were pretty radical activists, but there was always sort of a common understanding of the underlying civility of it all. As radical as you could get, there was still an aspect of the reason we get to be radical is because other people get to be radical too. And I always appreciated Portland and Oregon for its diversity. And the unique thing about Oregon is its diversities in pockets, right? You go to various cities in Portland or areas in Oregon, and they're different from other areas, but there's a freedom to move around, and it's just the same stuff I saw. It's funny. It's just coming back to roost, right? I don't know, man. It's just like nobody's learned anything. This is like nobody's learned anything. You may be justified in your own mind about like what violence will get, but I will tell you what violence will always get is more violence. That kind of violence is being perpetrated by the machine. That's why they're wearing black masks, is so that you can't see that they are actually the status quo. And they want the violence because they want the violence to devolve, because that's where they're going to get the power. The power is going to come from the burning down of civilization. That's what they've always done. It's the same group of people throughout history, man. It's the gross ones. It happened. Look, you just got to go look into Germany in the 30s, man. It's the same thing. It's just ironic how the script has been 100% flipped. I don't get how anyone doesn't see the irony of the dude who got beat up in Portland and had Quick Creek milkshakes dumped on him is not only gay, but he's a Vietnamese immigrant. And these are the people that are fighting for inclusivity and the marginalized communities, and then they will go and inflict upon the people which they say they will defend in the name of they don't agree with them. Like, these people are people of Oregon and Portland. You need to round up all these people in the masks and expose them. Expose them for the frauds they are, because they're not helping you. They're not going to increase your property values. They're not going to make your schools a safer place to be. What they're going to do is they're going to turn Portland into a sketchy port town. I remember, look, I lived in Portland, was right when the makeover was going. I remember Portland was very dark when I first moved there in the early 90s. Like, people should cherish where Portland's come as a town. And to allow this de-evolution, this violence to plague your city, you need to put a stop to it. You need to get rid of that mayor who's co-signing that nonsense and stand up as a community, man. You need those people in their black masks, you need to run them out of town. And you need to run the other guys out of town too. Those other guys who are there causing trouble with the black mask guys, you need to run them out of town. All these people, dude. You know what you need to be doing on a Sunday is picnicking with your family. And I'll tell you that most of those people, that's why they're in there causing that kind of trouble downtown on a Sunday, because they're the people that don't have families. Because people with families do not have time to do that, and they wouldn't want violence. I don't know, man. I'm very breaks my heart, man. Breaks my heart to see the city of Portland being eat up by scumbags, man. And they're straight up scumbags. Straight up. Both sides. Violence will only beget violence. Now we're going to watch. Unless the people of Portland demand that their city be taken back by rule of law. That's it. Just demand it. Demand that your police and your government do what it's supposed to do. Make safe streets for your children to walk and be unmolested by freaks and weirdos and violent hooligans. Ugh. Hey, man. Hey, man. Wake up. Wake up. It's just a dream. Wake up. Oh, well, that's my thoughts about that. I'm out.